The committee is here minus Ronnie Gellermino tonight. Jeff Putnam will be joining us by Zoom. He is at a chorus concert at Southwest School for his daughter. And other than that, Marissa, you will take the rest of our attendance. Okay. Looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Looking for a second. Kristen.
Second.
You. All those in favor?
Aye.
Looking now for a motion to approve the minutes as presented electronically.
No, I wasn't here for them, but
That's right. You weren't even, actually, this committee can't approve the minutes.
well,
can it?
Kristen was, roll call. Kristen was here. Right? Miss
I was
Allen?
here, but I wasn't on the
She wasn't
committee.
on the
Right, you weren't on the committee, so I
Nobody
suppose
was.
we'll just have to note that we can't possibly approve it because the people who are on the committee.
We'll just
are no
move
longer
them
on.
to the board and
But does anyone find any objection to anything in the minutes? Ellen, you were at that meeting, for instance. Look
I
good?
approve.
They look good? Yeah, they look good. They look good. I look
There you go.
good. So we will just pass those on for approval and let the board make that recognition. Public participation. Is there anyone from the public who is going to want to speak? If so, I will read the paragraph. Otherwise, I will move on.
Do not have anyone on the phone.
No one is on the phone. Thank you, Josh. Okay, so welcoming new members. Kristen and Bill and Gary are all new to this committee.
You're in for it.
And yeah, this is
this
a
is
good
the
committee
easiest
to be.
one,
Yeah, that's a
right?
good one. I want to be on
It's
that.
the fun one.
It's a fun one.
Yeah.
We occasionally actually do some educational things in this committee, which is rare for the Board of Education. Our responsibilities as a committee are in the bylaws. I'm not going to read to you something you could read for yourself. What they come down to is just sort of keeping in touch with the school system for things like curriculum and other things that happen within the schools, educational things that happen within the school. We don't so much care if the bricks need repointing, but we spent a long time talking about the reading program last year, for instance, things like that. And specific responsibilities include having a role in presenting suggested board goals to the whole board, and also in every year choosing a distinguished alumnus, both of which we will get to later on. That's about it. Any questions or anything about that? Okay, in that case, we are to our community partner report, and Mrs. Ferguson, would you please introduce
I would
us?
love to introduce Chris Medic, our old friend and colleague and partner in the community. We do a lot of great things. Chris is very heavily involved with PAL, and he's going to share some interesting information with the committee tonight. So thank you for being here, Chris.
And thank you for inviting me. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Chris Medic. I was a member of the police department for 36 years. I retired in 2018 as the deputy police chief. I was one of the original members of the PAL program when we began the program back in 1983. Served in a number of roles: coach, president, board member, and now I'm the executive director of the PAL program. I was asked to come back and help with the PAL program just a few hours a week, and a few hours a week turned into
Yeah, we know how that goes.
many hours.
Ah, yes.
And you know, it's a job I really enjoy doing. We've grown. When we started in 1983, we had one basketball team. It was a 7th and 8th grade boys team that played all over the state and all over the country, really. We went to tournaments in DC, Florida, but that's all it was. And for a whole number of years, we've been known, everybody relates to PAL as basketball. And I want to tell you about some of the things we do besides basketball. So our community outreach program, we partner with Torrington Public Schools. And this partnership has been going on for at least 10 years. And it just seems to get better and better every year. What we do with, so Torrington Public Schools allows us to use their gymnasiums for all our sporting events. We service probably close to 600 kids in a year's time doing different sports throughout the year. I would say 95% of the children that we service are from Torrington. We range from kindergarten to 12th grade. Our basketball program, we play 12 months out of the year. We have a citywide program, a travel program. We have a K-3 program in which the Torrington High School varsity boys team participates. They come down and they volunteer. We have close to 300 kids in that program. And they come down every Saturday in different groupings, and they work with the kids as far as basketball goes. These kids are just mesmerized by the high school players. As a matter of fact, we had Pal Night at Torrington High School last week. We had probably 70 of those kids there at the game. And, you know, they latch on to the kids that are mentors, whether it's, you know, Parkhouse or any one of the boys. And I'll tell you, these boys do an outstanding job for us. We wouldn't be able to run a program like that without those boys there helping us along. We run a spring, summer, and fall basketball program. Our fall basketball program we call our high school warm-up. It's by invitation. It's mostly athletes that are playing at the varsity level of high school basketball. And, you know, they're getting ready for November. So we have some time with them there. Going back to community outreach, each year Pal provides 3 $1,000 scholarships to children graduating Torrington High School. At Christmas time, we provide each one of the social workers at all of the schools with a $500 in gift cards so they could help out. They know the families. My wife was a teacher, and actually this was my wife's suggestion
That's a
4 or
great
5 years
idea.
ago. She said, if you really want to help, get something to those social workers because, you know, they know who needs to get it, and it works out great. We do a backpack giveaway every summer. So the backpacks are filled with school supplies. We work in collaboration with Donna Labby from here at Torrington Public Schools, Morocco Adult Daycare, and the Torrington Police Department Cadet Program. Last year, we gave away 1,200 backpacks filled with school supplies for ages K through 12. This year, we're gearing up for 1,500. The line is long, and there's quite a few people there every year. I just got a call from Barb Beebe this week. We run a college visits from Torrington High School. So we'll take a group of kids. We usually do 3 college visits within the state. And that's been successful. Last year, we had 15 or 20 kids that went on just about every trip that we went. We provide lunch. We provide transportation. And the kids sign up with it through the guidance department. This year, this will be the first time in Torrington this is ever offered. We're going to begin a girls lacrosse program. It's going to be K through 6. We're going to play at Torrington High School. As a matter of fact, we have a clinic coming up that we're going to be doing at Torringford School for 6 weeks coming up at the end of the month. Girls playing sports is on a terrible decline. Where we were 10 years ago, where we'd have 80 to 100 girls trying out for 2 travel basketball teams. This past year, we were only able to field 1 travel basketball team. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the problem is. I know high schools are encountering the same problems. So we're offering a different program, lacrosse. We have 26 girls signed up to participate in the program. We're really excited about it. It's a different sport. This will be the first time it was ever offered in Torrington. So we're hoping that's going to take off and get some girls back involved with playing sports. During the summer, Again, we partner with Torrington High School. We offer, or Torrington Public Schools, we offer, one of the things we offer is the Make the Play basketball camp. So Tony Torina, who is friends of mine, who was coached by my dad many years ago, he comes back every year and we run the Make the Play basketball camp. So we'll have 80 boys and girls. Again, we'll have the THS athletes there. Matter of fact, we hire the THS athletes to work at our camp, and they're paid a stipend when they come out and do that. And we also make a donation to the Torrington High School boys basketball team each year for all the work that the boys put into. It goes towards their team and whatever equipment they need or things like that. We run 6 camps during the summer. No child is ever denied entry to any of our programs because of financial need. We scholarship children on a regular basis to either our camps or our basketball or our lacrosse programs. Our board is really wants to see that done every year, and don't even blink an eye at when kids need help. We want them to participate.
Chris, if I could just interrupt, over the years, some of the camps have not necessarily been athletic, right? Wasn't there
Yeah,
something different,
absolutely.
activity-based, right?
We started in collaboration with the school. Jenny Strawson works there.
Well, Foreman School.
Foreman School. We run an art and a culinary camp there each year
Fun.
for
Nice.
middle school age children.
Great.
We run a trade camp at Oliver Wolcott each year, introducing kids to some of the different trades that are available. We run a CSI camp.
That's the one I was thinking.
That's probably one of our most popular
Yeah.
camps. So
That's cool.
that's a camp that we run in conjunction with the Torrington Police Department. So basically what happens is there's a crime scene set up at the beginning of the week. The kids are taught how to collect evidence, photograph evidence, raise latent fingerprints, casting of tire,
Yeah.
it's a
Oh, yeah.
regular CSI.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a good way to point them in that direction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we're also trying to recruit, believe me.
Yeah.
But that camp usually sells out in like a day and a half. And we really need to run it twice, but in the summer it's tough because of the staffing at the police department to start with, and then summer there's a lot of vacations, so
Yeah.
we're lucky to get it off every summer at least once.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you for reminding me.
Yeah,
of
no,
that.
thanks, yeah.
We're trying to transition away from total sports and trying to do other things. We have an after-school program at the Torrington Middle School, which we receive a grant for from National Pal every year to pay part of the costs involved. That's in collaboration with Torrington Public Schools and also at Advance. This year we have, I think it's 16 children that are participating in it. We take them out to, matter of fact, this month we're going to Norwalk to the aquarium, where they're going to see a presentation at the aquarium and be able to participate in what's going on there. We do other fun activities also. We've gone bowling with the kids, went to some ropes thing that there was no way I was getting up there. But, no, that was way too high. Yeah, and I'll tell you, I can't say enough about the administration here at Torrington Public Schools. Whenever we call and we're trying to put something together, they just open the doors, and it's been a great relationship, and we really appreciate it. And I can take some questions if yes.
Just, are all of the camps specific to middle school age?
Yes.
Yes, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes.
Not so much a question, just a comment. I think I'm so glad that you came because I learned a lot about what you offer, Torrington Public Schools, and as far as the bus trips to different colleges for the kids to look at, some of those kids wouldn't even have that opportunity if it weren't for that. So
Yes,
thank you so much.
yes.
That's such a huge
Yeah.
help for so many of our students.
Each year we receive a, I don't know if it would be a grant or a sponsorship from the Archbishop's annual appeal. And we put that money towards our college visits and other
amazing.
educational things.
Mhm.
You know, the Archbishop would like us to visit one Catholic
Yeah.
university.
Hey, why
and-
not?
And we usually do.
Yeah, that's good.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, that
Oh,
that really
that's
helps.
Such great programs and offerings. The lacrosse program in Torrington, that's
For girls,
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah,
you're gonna compete against Litchfield this year. Or you're
Well-
gonna merge with them.
I don't know where we're at with that.
Maybe I shouldn't have mentioned that. but
They're interested in,
I know
you know,
they-
and we're interested in
granddaughter
playing in
plays.
the Northwest program.
Yeah.
And,
They actually could use your help, I think.
That's a great idea.
we offer, you know, there's kids from Harlingen, Goshen, Winsted.
Yeah,
we
you
had-
open it up to the
We
whole
had kids
area,
from
right?
Plymouth that were participating in our basketball program last year.
Nice.
So, but you know, it's mostly Torrington students and
Mm-hmm.
Torrington athletes or Torrington kids that are participating.
You mentioned the girls not participating. What age do you start participation or programs?
Kindergarten.
Oh, you do? huh?
Yeah.
Because, you know, growing up, we were young, 10 years ago. There were so many programs, the YMCA, for instance,
Mhm.
didn't cost any money, it was pennies. They can't afford these programs anymore. You know,
Right.
gymnastics is $1,000 every quarter.
Correct.
You know, there's not a lot of programs where girls can start at a young age and do things anymore. And
That
boys
don't
too.
cost so
Boys
much,
too.
like dance and
Well,
things
nothing's-
like that.
Try
It's so
competitive
expensive.
cheer.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it used
Yeah,
to be
up there with competitive
practically
dance,
free at
it's
the Y. You
ridiculous.
could do anything at the Y back in the day.
Well, pretty much if you're not playing in the PAL program, then you're playing on some travel or
Right.
AAU program, which costs anywhere
Thousands.
from
Wow.
$1,000 to $3,000 a
Right.
season, depending on.
That doesn't even count your family travel time, you know, hotel stays and
Yeah.
food and all that, yeah.
It's very expensive.
It is, yeah.
Very expensive. I remember a couple of years ago when Torrington Little League was doing very well and they were off to, I forgot if they were going to South Carolina or North Carolina or something like that. There were families that were really hurting because
Yeah.
they
That's a
couldn't
big
afford to
trip,
do it.
yeah. And they were there for like a
Yeah.
week,
Yep.
yeah.
We have time for one more question, and then I'm sure Mr. Smetak would be delighted to receive your emails or phone calls, but we have a lot of agenda and another meeting to go. Kristen gets the last
Just a
question.
quick question.
Sure.
The girls lacrosse, is
Yeah.
there any plan to extend that possibly to 7th and 8th?
Yeah, I
And make
think
it
that, I
also
think
middle
there will
school?
be. This is like our maiden voyage here,
Sure.
and we're kind of trying to feel how it's gonna go. All of our programs go K through high school. But, you know, we started K through 6, we'll probably expand it to 7th and 8th grade at some point.
Nice.
But, yeah, we find that the most involvement with our kids are either the kids in middle school or the primary grades. Once they start getting into high school, you know, they have jobs, they have other interests, and
Yeah. But you keep them busy in
Yeah,
those
that's the big
peak
thing,
years
right?
where they need to,
Yeah.
they need to be occupied.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
that's great.
Okay,
Thank
well,
you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Good luck with the program.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Chris, thanks so
Thank
much
you
for
so much
coming.
for everything, yeah.
And if anyone has questions, you know, you can get a hold of me, our website is online, torringtonpal.org. So if you have questions, give me a call.
Thank you.
We have to
Yeah,
answer.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. Quickly, did you want me to take that card or you
I
taking
gave
it?
it back.
Oh, you gave it to the rest of, okay.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the tag update, which comes with a PowerPoint and people to present.
It does, yes. So a little while back, SIC had asked to have a presentation on tag. So much better presentation's gonna come from Paulina than with myself. So Paulina Kalaki is our tag teacher. And she's put together a little presentation, not just on what they're doing, but a little bit more information on what tag is and how you qualify for tag. With a new SIC committee, we thought that might be helpful for everybody to kind of understand what tag is all about. So I'm gonna turn it to Paulina.
Alright, so the tag program just started this year. It started back up after when I was at the middle school and high school years ago here, but it really gave me a great opportunity to get involved with other things in school. And as I went to high schools, I would take honors and AP classes and then graduate 15 college credits, which I was then able to apply towards my degree and start my master's program early. So I really do think like the tag program is really good at helping students develop their critical thinking skills and their writing skills and communication skills. You go to the next slide. Oh, yeah. Okay. So the goal of tag is to develop learning opportunities that enrich and extend the curriculum. So I kind of just found a puzzle that kind of ties it all in together. So like general exploratory activities, we've done a lot of like science activities in the beginning of the year, group training activities, and then individual and small group investigations of real problems, which is where like the invention convention ties in, which I'll talk about in the later slides. So, a lot of like parents have to reach out to me and ask me, can you provide the criteria for tag? Like, how come my student is not in tag? So then I kind of just explain the criteria, which I'll go over in the next slide, but high achiever versus gifted learner, there's a lot of research out there, especially with gifted learners. They're able to initiate projects by themselves, like find things they want to learn about. They like to be an innovator or invent things. They have strong feelings, opinions, or perspectives, and they really thrive on the complexity, and they're very often very highly self-critical. With high achievers, they grasp the meaning, they understand ideas, they complete assignments they're asked for in class. They're a good memorizer, they listen with interest, but they really prefer the sequential information, and oftentimes they have trouble like thinking outside the box, but they're really good at like doing what the teacher asked them to do in the classroom. So our identification procedure is we're using the COGAT test, which is an online test. It has 3 parts. It has verbal, nonverbal, and quantitative ability, where they measure students like how well they can solve, puzzles, word analogies, and it's timed. So they have 10 minutes for each test. It's a group administered test, so we don't have to do it individually like we would first do it with an IEP, like the Woodcock-Johnson. So they have to score at least a 126 on the test. They have to score in the 90th percentile in math and reading. A smarter balance score 4 in math and language arts, and then receive a teacher recommendation confirming students is higher than average work ethic and it's a top 10% of the class. So this one just tells a little bit about the test. This is a lower grade level test that shows how like students would choose the puzzle piece, and a lot of the tests have around 20 to 25 questions that students have to solve in 10 minutes.
So there were 2 different levels of testing?
There's different levels of tests depending on what grade level you're in. So like level 12 is like 6th grade, and then it goes like level 13/14 to 7. So it just automatically adjusts based on the grade level the student's in. So our big project this year for our middle schoolers was National History Day, which tied directly in the curriculum with what the 8th graders are doing, but I also want to expose the 6th and 7th graders to this. So students around the world discover history through National History Day by creating a historical research project. So again, the 6th and 7th graders are participating in this for the first time, but 8th graders are already doing this in their classrooms. So we're just expanding the topic and taking it to like the next level. And our local competition is March 2024 in Burlington. When I was at the high school, when I was at the middle school, my 8th grade year, I actually won regionals and states, and then I went to participate to the national level, University of Maryland. So my 8th graders are really like motivated to get to that level. So that's what we're like working towards right now. So here's kind of like the contest process. The students, submit their research paper on topic related to an annual theme. They can work as an individual or group project. Then we have different types of projects. We do a lot of revisions, and then we pick 2 entries in each category and division to advance. But because a lot of schools have pulled their registrations, we have more people that we can advance their regional round. So I'm working with 8th grade tutors to kind of pick projects that we want to advance. And then from the state level, the top winner in each category goes to nationals. And the theme this year is turning points in history. So here are some of our examples of entries we already have. The students will be competing. So we have a group performance, our 8th graders in the Hartford Circus Fire, Sparking a Change. We have an individual performance in John Brown, his turning point for abolition. We have a documentary of a 6th grader, the influence of 1918 history's deadliest food that started with a cough. We have an individual website in the Black Plague, and we have a paper on horse wells and anesthesia, and a lot of these are Hartford topics that they picked from a topic list that relates to the theme. We also have some group exhibits other students are working on, so those will be added to as well. So we just held our first spelling bee for grades 6 through 8. For the last 2 months, we've had a lot of sessions in school, figuring out ways to study for the spelling bee because it is a 450-word list that they get. So we kind of broke it down into different sections, and then we figured out different spelling patterns, and we kind of studied that. Like every Friday, we had a spelling bee session. So this past Friday on February 2nd, we held that event at the auditorium at TMS. Our 3rd place winner was an 8th grader, Avery Mazzacane, and then we opened up the spelling bee to other students who were recommended by teachers. They might have not necessarily made tag, but they were close to like the tag cutoff. So we had a 7th grader, Sam Mashba, get 2nd place, and then Lily Archuk get 1st place. And she will be competing in March at University of St. Joseph. We haven't started this yet, but this is our next project after the Invention Convention. We're going to be doing the Governor's Coding Challenge, which is a new thing, a new opportunity that came out this year. So this is a statewide coding competition. So I'm trying to figure out how the coding sites work because I've never used the coding sites before. But students in grades 3 to 12 are encouraged to create applications designed to inspire health, wellness, and positive change for the world. So this year, the governor includes 3 options for submission: concept challenge, prototype, or development challenge. The younger grades, they would kind of just talk about a concept and kind of make suggestions of like what they could do. And the middle school could actually create a prototype or the app they would want to use or whatever game they choose to make. And students can work individually or as a team to submit to one challenge. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Joe, took a second.
So we're doing the math Olympiads. We just completed 3. We have 2 left. So all students are exposed to challenging above grade level problems weekly. So we do all of our competition stuff on Fridays. We do different sessions throughout the day. Students then take part in the multi-competition, which is during school hours. And they compare to it. They can see how they compare to other students around the world. I have to kind of pull that data still. There are 39 countries who are taking part in this competition this year. So in Division E is grades 4 through 6. So all of our tag kids get to participate in this. Our current leader is Josh from Forbes School, and Division M is the higher middle school level, and our current leader is Dylan Juliana right now. Here are some examples of the elementary school. So this is up to grade 6. So you can see the problems are more challenging than they would see in a regular class. So these are just 3 examples of like what they have to know. So they gave me a vocabulary list at the beginning of the year of what things I have to cover. So like all the prime numbers, composite numbers for the elementary schools were there, just how to read a word problem and take out like the unnecessary wording in it. And then how can you show your work, because they only have 30 minutes to complete 5 complex problems. So they really have to like know that like to start with the easier questions first and then move on to the harder ones and then come back to the easier ones. So like we're talking about a lot of different testing strategies and how to do it so you don't run out of time. So we're in the Invention Convention process for grades 4 through 8 for the elementary school level at Southwest. I partnered up with the librarian and her web classes as well. So we have collaborated with some ideas and we're working together, like getting materials for our students. So all students have to like follow the process. So we kind of started some lessons around how to identify a problem. It could be a community problem, something in your house that you find a problem in your school. then they bring some possible solutions. They design prototypes and test their prototypes, improve them. They brainstorm different marketing strategies. So some groups or individuals have made like flyers, how they would advertise their product, or they made a commercial on Canva, and then they have to present the new invention. So we are able to advance 5 students to a semifinals round. So like every school as they present, we just follow the rubric and then pick our top project at every school. So at the middle school, we'll pick 2, and then we'll do like Southwest Sports and one from the WIN program of Ms. Zeiser at Southwest. But yeah, the students have really loved it, and they were able to use the 3D printer as well at Southwest. So they really liked doing the Tinkercad and then printing their project. So some of them decided to go that route. And at the middle school, Mr. Douglas and I have talked, and he said that he's more than happy to like help my students who want to do the invention on the Tinkercad to help them print their project as well. So here's a video of the lower elementary schools. This is actually a 4th and a 5th grader who really wanted to work together. So we just made sure their times kind of like matched up. So they made a little chair because their problem was that a lot of like students rock in a chair at school and then, you know, like can go backwards. So they wanted to design a chair that will prevent students from falling. This is kind of a cute video. Hopefully it plays.
Hi, this is our invention for the invention. It's called the Leaning Chair PI, which stands for the Leaning Chair to Prevent Injuries.
The way it works is that we have the flap at the back. So this way, when it leans, there will be a flap to hold it. But if you're sitting down, there would be weight pushing onto the back. So we have these blocks. If we were making it professionally, we would probably use weights, but we have rocks. So once we put the rocks, and we also have this front compartment for the rocks. So once we put it in, it should bounce away. Because there's no one sitting in it, it's going to stand back up. But if we push way in the back, as if someone was sitting in it, it is the weight in the front and back is now balanced.
Josie, what was the problem you guys were trying to solve?
The problem we were trying to solve is when like somebody like to lean back in their chair during class, and then they would like fall.
When they lean back too far. This chair
will prevent that because of the
flap and the bouncing the weight and the way it works.
She's so shy. They're adorable.
So for our fundraisers, I actually came for Donors Choose at the beginning of the year, and we got our grant awarded for a lot of different STEM activities and kits. So we had like a robot kit, these like bouncing planets that students can make, and there was just a lot of other kits in this thing, and it was over like $400 of materials. So we got that grant, and then we raised over $1,300 for district-wide tag program for materials. So like anything for like National History Day props, anything for the invention convention. So students sold Jimmy's grinder stick kits in the beginning of the year. That fundraiser was very successful. And then they really wanted to do like a bake sale. So one of the peers we had access to the kitchen, they actually had to figure out like they never baked before. So they had to figure out like how they're gonna measure everything. And so that was kind of like their student initiated fundraiser they had. And then this is just a quick video. You might have to request access for that. I don't know why it's not showing up.
I already requested access.
All right, hold on. That should work. And I just wanted to end the presentation with a little video of like what students are saying about tag.
I enjoy tag because I get to be around people who think like I
engage in education more effectively. What I like about tags is that we get to do a lot of hands-on stuff, like building a lot of structures, and I also like that we get to participate in the invention convention and I also learned a lot of new things. Something that I like about tag is that we can have discussions to think more critically.
I like going to tag because it makes me feel like I fit in, and it makes me feel like I can express myself in more intellectual words and actually like use my brain to its full capability.
Tag program gives me the opportunities to work with students who are engaged and motivated to do their work.
Lots of things. We learn topics from a higher grade level to challenge us.
Really fun. For instance, we can be inventors and work on our writing and communication skills.
I learn about subjects that I'm more passionate about that I wouldn't be able to learn in class.
Great.
That's it?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everything.
Okay, we have time for comments and questions. I'm going to start by saying, first of all, thank you. Great presentation, great program. This is the committee where this has been discussed for the year and a half it took to get it off the ground. History Day. We did have 6th and 7th graders participating last year. In fact, a couple of kids did some video production in conjunction with the video production teacher at the middle school, went on to the state level and were recognized by the Mount Vernon Library Women's Support Group, or whatever the exact title was, and given a $50 prize, which these two kids split. So this can pay off too. So you might want to tell your kids that. But this is
Little incentive.
This is so, it's so good to see our brighter kids able to be with other bright kids and do things that they need that setting for. And that's all I'm going to say. Questions or comments from the group, please? Gary, you were important to getting this.
No, just a question for, are we getting pushback from parents? I know last year the question why the kids weren't in, but.
Well, you know, I
Is
think
that still
that what had
happening or no?
happened was when we were first trying to build this, we were starting from the ground up. And so Sue L's, idea at that point, well, let's just kind of have a period maybe in the library. It wasn't really a full tag kind of program. And then when you guys supported the need to get a tag teacher, and Paulina brings the experience of being a special ed teacher, so she can really individualize, to the upper level. I think that what started to happen was a lot of the parents were like, wow, this is really good. I want my child to go to it. So then now what's happened is be the opposite.
Yeah.
So everybody wants their child in,
That's
which
what I
is why
mean.
Paulina had to kind of go through.
Get some guidelines.
It's really
Right.
stringent criteria
And the
to
students really want
qualify.
to get in, like, if they were close to COGAT's core, I let them retake it.
Right.
And if they met that criteria with the other ones, then I allowed them a second chance to kind of.
Sure, and a couple times we made the executive decision to, look, well, the child has this, and this, and his COGAT is
Right.
5 points short.
Yeah.
We're gonna let him in,
beyond that,
you know.
exactly, yeah.
So we did do that, but I want to be careful so that, we keep the integrity that is intended for the program,
So
so.
Laura, did I dream this, or are you, Paulina, sharing with the gen ed teachers some strategies to embed some of this?
Yeah, so some teachers have asked me can come in their class. So I've worked with Ms. DeCanty at the middle school. We've
Yeah.
worked together to talk about stuff we can do with those kids.
Yeah, so we can do more project-based learning
Mhm.
in all kids' classes, so that it's more engaging, yeah.
And we don't know at what point we might want to add onto this program. Right now for next year, well, in the spring, Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have all the 3rd graders up through the 7th grade will be taking it again. So even if they took it and they didn't make it the first
Right, so
time,
now they have another chance.
what we are
They'll take it
not
again.
going to do though is if they're in, they're going to be grandfathered in. Because sometimes something can happen and now suddenly somebody's score slips 5 points. We're not going to say you're out.
Right.
So if you're in, you're in. However, if you remember, they had to sign a contract, both the child and the parent committing to the program. And Paulina had to put a couple students on academic probation.
That was the thing we did because
You
the
know.
6th graders really were struggling with keeping their grades up and making up the work.
Oh,
Or they
okay.
just didn't want to make up the work. So we've had some long conversations with those students.
Yeah.
Right.
That's good.
And, no behavioral issues and really model students. And so they had to commit to it. So it's really gone very, very well for our first year up and running. A lot of it has to do with this lady. but-
I have a quick question. So I remember you were anticipating that some families might have to make a choice between tag and music, let's say. Did that pan out, or?
So
Kind of worked out. Music
with
teachers.
a lot of work. So poor Paulina, like between the 3 schools
Yeah.
and trying to make it that, well, that's not gonna work for us because our 4th graders have reading at this time and really trying to make it work. But between the principals working with her, she was really able to figure it out. So what are they missing when they're coming in for the most part?
Either the ELA or math block, and if we figure out the specials, if they have already one gym, then they can miss the second gym. But if they miss a special, they can come with the next session and like make up their 30 minutes, so they don't miss the whole instruction.
And as far as the ELA and the math goes, these aren't the kids
That need that core.
Right,
They're
like,
already above,
they're
they're in
making
the
it
next
up.
level. Yeah.
And if they're not, then they're having a conversation about that comes first. You have to get that done, or you're not going to be able to come in for the extras that we're
And
doing.
sometimes like teachers will email me like, the student is bored in my class, what can I do?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to like sit here, like
Right.
the reading is way too easy for him, so I'm trying to find some resources
Give him a
for
different
that
book.
teacher.
Differentiate.
Yeah. Go and read a different book. Right?
Questions, more questions?
How many students do you have enrolled currently?
We have about 55 between the 3 schools right now.
Good. I'm so glad the program got off its feet.
Off the ground,
Yeah.
Well, it's all, John's been pushing this since I got on the board.
Yeah,
so
I know, it took
we finally
years.
got it.
It's important, we have to do something for our
Of course it is.
bright kids. We do plenty for the kids who need the support.
I agree.
This is the kind of support these kids need, and they deserve it every bit as much as any other kid in the school
Absolutely.
system does. And we need to keep pushing for that identification at that highest level and not dilute it by just
Right.
letting parents say, oh, well, my kid is smart too.
Right.
Shouldn't my kid be in? Well, yeah, but your kid's not smart like these.
And your
kids are.
presentation really outlines that, and I don't think you're taking away from anybody.
No,
You've
these
set the
programs don't. They
standard,
don't.
right, you've set the
And the
standard
students who, like,
high where it
didn't
should be.
qualify for tag initially, or they're still like far away, they're still able to join like our math Olympiad group if their teachers
Great.
recommended them for it. So at least they have like on Fridays they could join our group and do some of the higher level thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like a great job you're doing. Thank you.
I saw
Elena.
some of Emma's math Olympiad problems. I could not figure them out.
She
so-
actually-
Yeah,
Trying to
no,
grow.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
she's
that's
scored
the
one of the
point.
highest
These
ones in the
kids
last
are operating
Yeah.
at a level that is really
Beyond
beyond
us.
many adults.
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
understand,
Seriously.
Which is why
Yeah.
they need us as a school system to support them, because you don't find that in the community. You find people who help you play basketball. You won't find people who will help you solve
Excel
very
in math,
difficult,
right.
high-level
Yeah.
math
Yeah.
problems.
It's without
It's
a
a
program
good
like this,
program, yeah.
so it's,
We
it's
actually
a
have one
great
of our
program.
tag students score 100 on the Algebra 1 midterm.
Nice.
So they couldn't do a curve deal, so I was really upset. But a lot of
Before you came in, I was actually
Yeah,
bragging
she
about
was
Emma's
like-
96. I
yeah,
was pretty
she told me
happy.
that too. So all my tag kids got all like 96 and up to the 100.
That's awesome
but
for
we-
them.
Yeah.
That's really
so
great for
happy
them.
for them.
Very good. Well, thank you
Challenges
very
and-
much. And again, Paulina is available, and so is Laura for any questions you might think of
Thank you
afterwards.
so
or
much.
any
Yeah.
comments
Good
you
job.
might have afterwards.
Yeah.
Thank you. Very happy with the
Okay.
program. Very
Yeah,
good.
don't feel like you have to stick around.
Yeah, you can
Paulina.
go. Thank you.
Go home.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Challenge, it's great.
Yeah, good job.
Okay, someplace in your packet and sent out electronically are the board goals that we adopted
Page 23.
for this
Last year,
year.
right behind Paulina's last
Page
page.
23.
Yep.
Yes, because we copy on two sides sometimes. It's part of the plan. And what I said at the board meeting was that we need to look at these and see if we want to throw some out, if we want to keep some, if we want to modify some, if we want new ones or anything else. The discussion here will just be anything among us that we see, but the board also, I hope, will submit questions or submit goals for us to talk about next time, for us to come up with a package to propose to the board for the March meeting. That's what I want to do tonight. So let's start. General discussion, questions?
I have a question.
thrown out, yes.
What are your thoughts, and I mean, and Sue, you're probably a good person to answer this, on the pathways? Is this gonna be something for school improvement to work with the Office of Teaching and Learning to get that off the ground? What are we thinking about that?
Well, that's a Sue question right there.
I don't, can you ask it again? I'm not sure I understand how it.
The pathways,
Like,
one
should
of
it
our
be a
development,
goal?
yeah, it is.
Oh,
It's-
I see, number 2.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering, and we've been carrying it, I think since the referendum was voted on, I think you added it at that point, so we're carrying it, just so it's in the back of our minds.
So I think the answer is yes. I would like to see it remain there, and here's why. We need board support to really operationalize those pathways to their greatest potential, in that we need to have the board consider and approve new course proposals so that we can expand those pathways. So in terms of those resources and, text adoptions and those sort of things that would align with all of that.
Okay,
So
but
yes.
you guys are handling the creation of all of that, just like you would any other curriculum.
Correct.
Okay, okay.
We've had periodic updates. We're due for one, actually. Maybe that could be something we do next month here, just about the progress of the pathways, because
perfect.
we've been kept updated on this, but just not recently, so.
All right.
We maybe should do that again, but a lot of the courses that we've adopted the last couple of years have been, as Sue said, have been geared toward implementation of the pathways.
Right, for future implementation, yeah, so that we have those courses on the books, and we've done a nice job in science and English, and yes, but there's work still to be done, and hopefully, we're cooking along, right? I mean, that we're gonna be in that building before you know it,
Right.
and there's work to do, but yes. Okay, so
You-
pathway, go
Yeah,
ahead.
pathways, where are we looking for helping the development of the construction, pathways, automotive, those types of things? Or are there programs available from the state because it's so regulated
You talking about curriculum? What do you mean?
for say for the construction and automotive shops?
In
What's-
terms of the curriculum for
Yes.
those shops?
Yeah, like what would go into that?
So those are, I went on with a group of people to Manchester on a site visit to see what those folks have done. And I am in contact with the people over there who have developed that curriculum, which is very, very
helpful
similar.
too, right?
Gary put me in touch with Joe Toner. Ed has put us in touch with Yolanda.
Tried to last name, yeah.
Right, Yolanda.
She works with Joe Toner, Connecticut Builders Trades.
Yes,
Okay.
so there's lots of conversations happening right now
Great.
to grow that and make sure that the construction curricula is in fact a construction technology curricula and not a wood
Hammer
shop.
and nails and,
Correct.
yeah, okay.
Correct.
I'm sure, I mean, no doubt you
Yes.
guys, you have it under control. I just think that with the timing of it.
Yep.
It's less than a year,
It's about a year.
if
Yeah.
you think about it,
Yeah.
when we come back from break.
Yeah.
So, and then so John, will continue, I guess, to carry this if that's.
I think
I think it
pathways
should.
presentation maybe next month, just update,
Sure, we can
progress
give
report,
an
whatever you
update.
want to call
Or
that.
just a progress report, so that way the board, people that aren't part of the subcommittee get it too. I don't know how do you do that? Just make it part of your packet?
Tell them to watch the Zoom, tell them to come to the meeting.
Come to the meeting. That's the start.
Gary?
Just real quick, there are other people interested in helping you. Sierra McGowan, I don't know if anybody remembers her, but she's a recent grad. Her husband went to school here. He's an engineer, process engineer. He'd love to come back and try to help set up our engineering processes. He works for an international company, but he lives here. So there are other names that I can give you after this that people have just said, I'd love to come up and offer my advice on,
Perfect.
so it can function at a level which these kids can experience more advanced,
Yep.
more interesting subjects.
Okay.
Goals. So there's something more to say about goals.
So I worry about, and I don't know how, I've never done this before with you, but this current trend we have with the city and with all of our grant monies and the continuation of us keeping, I know there's a discussion here about it, about all these grants that we're getting, and how do we get a handle on what we might be faced with? down the road. Mayor keeps saying the money's gonna be there, but it's not always gonna be there. We've never really taken a look at how we get beyond her.
So how would that translate into a goal?
Well,
What's the
because
goal?
you bring up your monitor and collaborate on a fiscal plan to plan for the reduction of federal and state
Right.
funding. You know, I don't know how we monitor and collaborate on that, but who should we work with? Or is it?
Well, that goes, I think that falls into our budget, right?
A couple of years ago, we took the goals and we divided them up among the committees. And each committee was supposed to be responsible for the goals that would, as you say, this was logically budget.
Right.
And the school improvement committee had on our agenda reports on the goals that we had taken, but that fell away in some of the other committees, I think. And in fact, it fell away with us because it was sort of all quiet on the Western Front.
Right.
Reports that, because once you get to a certain point, it's not like there's something to say every month.
Right, sure, yeah.
That scares me the most, is that we bring it up every year.
I know.
Every year
Right.
what goes on, that scares us.
So we keep that goal, but do something about it?
Yeah, we come up with a plan to do something about it, or at least stay in front of it. Also, I think this would be a goal, with the success with TAG, you being the expert at this, what else can we offer to the lower level students to keep pushing these kids forward, to make them, so we don't lower the standards anymore, so we can find a way to prohibit the lowering of the standards and pushing for the kids to get more access to more.
Raise the expectations for kids who are in normal
Right.
class levels.
Yeah, I don't know if that could be a goal or not. I'm not sure how we would do it, but, you know, I never qualified for TAG. I didn't qualify for the bottom of the segment, but it would have been helpful, I think back, because I did well in college and graduate school, if there was a program of some sort, and it won't be all the kids, but it might be 10-15%, that can engage them more academically. I'm not sure if that's possible, but
You're talking about like enrichments that would come in?
I don't know. I'm not an educator.
You could write that into a goal that would say something like support the administration in developing programs for enrichment at all levels. So, yeah, write a note to yourself and do that. I'd be happy with that. I'd be real happy with that. Nothing bad about higher standards, nothing at all. Anyone else? So far, so good. Anyone else? Are any of these throwaways? Can we cut any of them out, throw them away? You're done.
I think we could, what about number 3? Because that's going to be part of the redistrict committee. It's kicked off. You know, I think this might be a good opportunity to say, you know, check box, this goal was accomplished or is in the process of being accomplished.
Because if we don't accomplish it with what we have going,
It's not gonna happen. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so that's a possibility.
Just a thought, yeah,
I'm gonna put an
possibility.
X on it as a possibility for our discussion next month. So far, 2 and 4, we are keeping, I think, or at least that's what I think we'll want to do.
5 is ongoing. You're constantly reporting on that, and it's fluctuating weekly.
But
Daily.
Yeah.
But well, can we take it off in that we now have a
Process in place.
process in place where we actually get good information, and the Board of Education gets to review it and comment, or does it stay
True.
sick? I don't know. I've never been on sick before.
Well, once you've accomplished something, yeah, you should
Right.
take it off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's an
Do you think
accomplishment.
are
We get
far
those
enough
updates.
Along with Laura's
I think
updates,
so.
very comprehensive, very thorough updates.
I think so. I don't know about everybody
I'm putting
else,
an X on
but.
that.
This
do
is,
Save us
this
further
is also
discussion tonight.
EL
Put an
too, but
X
you're
on
you're
that.
also
And even with Joanne,
receiving.
right.
Yeah, Joanne,
As long as it remains on the full board agenda. As long as
It
it
remains
remains on
part
the
of the
full board
agenda.
Well,
agenda.
that's up to our
Yeah.
chair to just keep it on
And
the
that
agenda.
makes me think we
we
should
should never
have
lose sight of that.
your stuff on there too.
Okay, how about the
Joanne.
site capacity and future plans
Right.
now?
Yeah.
If we are developing the realignment facility thing, is 6 close enough to that so we don't need that, or we want to
I don't think it
keep that there, or
we get the
It
enrollment.
goes, I think, kind of ties in with 3,
so we can X that too?
right? I think so.
Well, we're doing a great job.
We're kicking butt this
Okay, I
year.
like this. We have 6 more minutes to, oh, actually, there are things to do in those 6 minutes.
I think 7 has to
Um,
stay.
Yeah, 7 should stay, I think.
That's gonna be there forever.
7, current legislative, blah, blah, blah. do that with policy, don't we? Isn't that what?
I feel like, especially
we're
with this
gonna be
bunch
doing
of
in
policies.
just a few
yeah.
minutes, among other things.
True.
Well, and we have a legislative liaison.
I'm putting a question mark in front of that one, just to see. Yes, Ellen.
Maybe it should stay on just to remind everyone.
As I said, a question mark rather than an X. Yeah.
For number 7?
Yeah.
Well, because it's
8.
important.
Yeah.
But-
Oh, that 8, absolutely. We had so much conversation about that last year.
Yeah.
It took us how long to land on that language, remember, Lord?
Yes.
Number 8?
Do we need
I
it?
think I might have lost it a little bit at that meeting.
Do we need that, or is that just something that was pertinent at a particular time?
It was I think it was pertinent at a particular time, but it couldn't hurt to keep it,
I would agree.
Doesn't,
right?
Yeah.
doesn't the beginning of our bylaws say something like this too?
It
Isn't
might.
there a statement there? I mean, we can keep it, it doesn't hurt to keep
Yeah,
it in.
I think there is something similar to that.
I'm gonna put a question mark
Yeah.
there, and I'm gonna
But-
say check bylaws.
But it's a reminder every month at school improvement that it's.
This is one of our
important.
goals, it's how important it is. And even with the rotation, we have so many new members on the board now. I think this would help. And our goal here, the ultimate goal, was to have a cohesive board. So I think, Ellen, to your point, that's a good reminder.
Okay, so that leaves us with number 1 to talk about among these goals. Doesn't mean people won't submit other things they want us to talk about next time, but monitor the
What does this even
implementation
mean?
District strategic plan. The city, just before COVID, this is one of the few things that really can be blamed on COVID. I mean, COVID gets blamed
The
for a
only
lot of
thing.
things. But this was all set to go. There was gonna be a big community-wide meeting at City Hall. We had the people online. Fiona and I met at the mayor's office with people who were gonna facilitate the development of, and then just nobody was meeting anybody in person for months.
Well, if it's not
So they
happening, we can monitor
haven't,
it.
so we were waiting
Well,
for
we're
their
waiting for
strategic
exactly,
plan,
so it's
okay,
sort of
to
a-
integrate.
So we keep it there just to remind us all that there should be something going.
Something might be coming.
I don't know, is it, are they even, is that, if it's not on their radar, then we probably don't need to carry it
Correct.
indefinitely.
That's great.
Okay, I just put next month next to it, and we can say exactly the same thing and throw it away next month if we
Okay.
want.
All right.
Okay, anything more on board goals before we move along? Because Gary has this 200-page.
That is outrageous, John.
And I read it. That's why we're putting it off for a
Okay,
month.
last item on the agenda, distinguished alumnus, and really all we're doing tonight is
best part
checking
about
in with
school
Sue,
program.
because Sue always takes care of the mechanics of this, gathering the information, gathering the nominations, putting the, getting the notices out and everything else. And we just, you left us a blank with the date, so give us your thinking on that.
Right, so I'm gonna have Marissa help me with this too, to remember last year, so we updated the form, you'll see Mary Graziani's name is in there. She's the one who accepts and receives the nominations. The scholarship night this year is on June 6th. It's important that whomever is selected is able to be present to receive the award at that event and to speak to the graduates. Do you remember, Marissa? I think we selected at the very beginning of April.
The April meeting.
Yep, the April, right before the April School Improvement Committee meeting, right?
Right.
So,
So we'd need the nominations next month. We'd need to have the deadline
Mid-March, yeah.
sometime mid-March.
Yep.
So that we get them,
So that you have an opportunity to look them over and then come
Right.
to that committee meeting.
we don't necessarily need them the month ahead of time, but we do need them a week or, I think if we pass them out at the board meeting in March.
In March?
We could
Oh, there you
then-
go. That gives you more time, Sue, to collect everything too.
Well, and it gives people a little bit longer time to nominate. We usually send out a couple of reminders. We put it out in the media. So there's a press release that's issued. It goes out to all local, and we have a media list that we send it out to, a listserv, and then it goes out to all TPS. And then it says in this form, you probably read, we keep nominations for a couple of years
Right.
and those are given back to you.
To look at.
Yeah,
So if we set a date sometime mid-March, that would give you a week. If we say, for instance, the 15th, the end of the second week in
yeah,
March,
that would be perfect,
that
Friday
would
the
give
15th.
you a week and a half to prepare packets to give out to this committee members of this committee. For board meeting, we take
The
those
board
home, we
meeting's on
look
the
at them.
27th, right, Marissa? The
27th, and then
March
we have a week
27th.
before the school improvement.
And then you would get them, I would give them to you on April, well, no, we would come back together right before the April 3rd
Right,
school improvement
right. We
meeting.
usually meet at 5:30 or quarter after 5 on that.
Does that work? Is that good?
Works for me. Does it work for the, Kristen, that works for you? Gary, Bill?
As far as I know.
As far as you, until someone tells you,
That's right.
tells you different.
So by Friday, March 15th, okay,
The Ides of March.
right,
Beware.
okay. All right, that's easy. So that was the easy part of
Okay,
this.
Marissa, that's gonna work for you? That's gonna work for us. It's gonna work for Marissa, and Sue is gonna work for us.
Yep, perfect. Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. And you can see the form here, for if you haven't had a chance to see it before, please look at it, because you will see this filled out. For, we hope, a lot of nominees at some point in the future. Well, thank you, Sue, for taking care of all of that so expeditiously. We are now to topics for future meetings. We've said pathways, if that can be put together in time, and if you need another month. So there's no reason for next month to be should be.
For
Not
Pat-
next week is not, next month is not magic, is it?
No.
If we can do it next month, that's fine.
But if not,
I want to connect with the high school folks too and
Yeah,
just
see
figure,
what- see
yeah,
what
see
works. I don't
what's
wanna-
doable.
I'd rather
Okay,
have a good report in 2 months than
perfect.
something we had to.
Okay,
That's a
rush.
good idea.
We'll try for that, but thank you for that flexibility. That's helpful.
It's
Yep.
Education, things don't always work the way you.
All right, okay. Well, this is a short month too, so, okay,
Okay.
so March or April.
Any
All right.
other topics that we want to be brought up?
Just one thing, because it goes back to when we approved the pouches, there was the discussion of how do you monitor, and I don't think anybody's ever monitored what there might be, if there's a violation report or not, but.
Oh, you
we're-
want to,
Well, we're spending a lot of money on it, and if we're gonna spend money, we should make sure that the policy's being followed.
Sure, so
Otherwise,
you
we shouldn't have the
want-
policy, in my opinion.
Yonder up?
yonder update, like a return on investment update.
And the governor today is announcing that Yonder should be used in all
Yeah,
schools.
he did.
he did?
Yeah, he did, and I'm
Is he
like-
gonna pay
Well,
for
that's,
it?
yeah, that's a good question.
I'm like-
My son
I'm
texted
like,
me.
Torrington's always
That's what I
doing
said.
it.
Oh, Garrett, get on him.
That's what I said to him, then tell him to pay for it. Although they do give us plenty of money.
Good job.
They gave us enough money in high school.
Now, we have a
Yeah.
list of topics for future meetings that have been brought up for some time in the future. Do any of these look like they rise to the level where we want to bring them up sooner rather than later?
I would say board goals, John, get that done earlier in the year,
Goals.
so it's out of the way.
Oh, no, you missed that. Oh, no, it's on
Yeah,
the
we're
back
gonna
of
talk about
the
goals.
agenda.
Well, actually, no, because we're talking about 24, 25.
And that will be enough of an agenda,
Right
won't it? Pathways, Yonder update, and whatever discussion comes from that, and goals.
You could accept goals, even, I don't think we have to land on anything until the next school year, right? Because that's
No,
for,
these are adopted for the
24,
next school
25,
year,
yeah. So we have time.
I suppose they're effective immediately, but really
Sure.
nothing's gonna happen
No,
in June.
right, okay.
Okay, comments for the good of the order. Marissa?
Great tag presentation. I love the videos.
So cute.
Andrew?
I would like to echo the same sentiment. Great work, amazing.
Josh? Sandy?
How's that? Thank you.
Joanne?
Great presentation.
Okay, Sue?
No,
Sue F.
great presentation. Thank you to Paulina.
Sue D.
Same, very good meeting, good presentation.
Tracy?
Same, ditto.
Same, I think Paulina was great, the Pell presentation was great, so excellent meeting.
I'm all set.
Ditto.
Kristen?
Good meeting. I'm also happy to see TAG back. I can remember being in TAG in like second or third grade at East School.
It was an important program for the kids who were in
Yeah.
it when we had it. It's gonna be important again. Gary?
Same, same, what Kristen just said, my oldest two kids were in it, it was wonderful. The other four didn't make it, but they weren't upset about it. So.
Bill?
I'm glad that the tag is back. It's important that we support all of the students, no matter where they are on the spectrum.
Thank you. I appreciate everyone who came today and presented. Mr. Smetak did a great job. TAG program was very well presented. And for anyone who didn't see it, the city council meeting last night, Kim drew the short straw and had to go up there and
She
explain the
did.
TEA contract. And did such a good job that nobody had very much to say. But anyway, I'll stop. Looking for a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
February 7th, it is now 7:08 PM. We have new members tonight, myself included, Ms. Conway and Mr. Knight. Ms. Conway is an alternate on this committee, Mr. Knight is whatever you want to call it.
Member.
I don't know, let's start around here. But I can't, actually, approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion for the approval of the agenda?
So,
Mr. Knight?
Second.
All in favor?
Gary, we're gonna amend the agenda though. right?
Oh, I thought I was gonna just defer. You're right, I'm sorry, you're right. So
That's
step back
okay.
on that.
Yep.
We discussed before tonight's meeting, the issue of the 240 pages that they sent to us. And the complexity of it all, but.
Well, no,
you
it's
have a
really
re-
that, it's really that
I'm
Dean's
just
not
teasing.
here.
Yes.
Right.
The Dean's, as I said, Dean's not here, and both involve him, Dean Pergola, so we can wait till next month I have spoken to Angelo and Monica, he's fine with that, and that is the facilities relationship
Right.
to the symphony. I did explain to him that it would be nice if they can come here and offer us, you know, a commitment to the number of students that they might be able to commit to every year, so they can continue with their music interests. So the head of the symphony is away this week and next week anyway, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's on Aruba.
Yeah, you're in Florida half the time. So that means A and B are gone?
A and B are gone.
A and B are gone. Thank you.
A and B will be
Doing a
tabled.
great job as chairman.
I learned from you, John.
Those will go to March.
Oh,
So,
Okay.
do I need a motion?
yeah, to amend, if John wants to amend
You're
and
the
Bill
chairman.
amends
You can
second.
I can just move on.
You
do a
can,
motion.
but if,
Can I get a motion?
Ellen wants to do it right.
Yeah, I know, she does. I have a motion to move A and B to next month.
So moved.
You will
Second.
that, Jen? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All right. And that's, so if you and Kim can just give us some background on what we're trying to accomplish here tonight with these, that's why I called you on the 240 pages, you said it's only statutorial stuff. Yes, dear.
The minutes, number
Did I
4.
miss the minutes? I'm sorry.
Minutes, we have to approve the minutes.
You can't approve, but you can forward them to the board.
Yeah,
'Cause no one's on the
we're all new.
committee.
Yeah, so the minutes were
Beg
just,
your pardon.
besides
I
John's.
was
Well,
fair.
but just you, I mean,
know,
so there's
just
not,
me.
So we'll move those to the board.
then 5,
You want?
public participation.
My God, I went right by that. It's
Poor
been a while.
Carrie.
I know. We just-
This is only your first meeting, so you'll get better.
I know, I did do facilities though, that's why I got out of it.
There's no
No,
one.
nobody's here from the public, so we can move forward. But if you could explain, you know, what the intent was, I know I talked to you about it briefly, what you wanted to tell us, it was maybe just statutorial, if there were some questions as to whether these policies.
Right, I'm gonna
needed-
let Kim do this, but I just
Yeah,
wanna
I would
say,
too.
just to explain that, honestly, the length of this, it really is not, it's not that much really to go over. It's unfortunate that it required this much paper. It's just that, and Kim can explain this better than I, it's that routinely throughout the course of the year, our legal counsel sends legal updates, and we are then obligated to go back and look at our policies and ensure that our policies are in compliance with state statute. So sometimes it's just a matter of a 2-minute conversation to add one sentence to a policy or to revise a sentence in one policy. But in order to understand the context, we give you the entire policy. So that's the reason for the heft of this document.
Right,
So-
that's another reason why I thought we pushed the 2 off as well, because
Yeah.
there's just a lot to go through. I've been through 2 days, and
Yeah,
it's a lot to go through.
Yeah.
and maybe
My
just
head
for
almost
the,
Nobody's ever
exploded
done
this
that.
morning, this afternoon. when
I know, it's
saw it. I don't wanna
crazy.
give
Maybe
myself
for
enough time.
future, what we could do is when we're bringing it forward specifically because of a statutory change, maybe we could highlight what that statutory change is, and that way it kind of saves you from having to look through the whole 400 pages of what might be good to look at just the 2 pages that maybe require the edit.
Absolutely, that would be
So maybe
great.
we can try to do that
yeah, we
going
could
forward.
certainly do
Yeah.
that sometimes, and please forgive us, you know, we know it, so we're just like, oh, this is
Yeah.
easy,
Yeah.
easy, and we forget that you guys are coming to it without
Yes.
that benefit, but, and maybe just for the benefit of the folks who are new to the committee, if you could just, Kim, give a quick,
Sure.
you know, background into what we have attempted to do over the past few years.
Sure.
Because we had policies dating back to some of them.
1970 was the oldest,
some of them.
I think we still have some
Yeah,
that are
yeah,
still
That's the
dated very
oldest
far
one.
back.
Yep.
yeah.
So 4 years ago-ish, I think we embarked on a journey to compare our policies to the Shipman and Goodwin Model Policy Index, and we did this crosswalk that kind of compared what we had to what Shipman had, and we really took them month by month, series by series, and looked at what we needed to add in order for our policy index to be a good policy index that met all the statutory requirements and that we weren't missing anything. So we've done that. We finished all the series now as of last month. And, you know, it took a little longer because there were times when some statutory changes required us to make a shift and pause on the crosswalk because we had something that was more pressing, that we had to get done because of a major statutory change. So, but it took us about 3-4 years, I think, and then there was COVID, so there was a lot of COVID policies to add. So that's the Cliff Notes version of what we accomplished, I think, over the last few years.
Right, and we'd be in the middle of a series, cooking along, and all of a sudden a statutory update would come and we'd have to hit pause and jump in order to, so it's never a perfect science, but I think we're proud of what we've done. We did a lot of really good work.
We did a lot.
Right? Yeah.
Yes, I agree, team effort.
Yeah.
So our next course of action was to look at Shipman and Goodwin. What they do typically is, at least once a year, if not a couple of times a year, provide us with updates to existing policies that reflect any more recent statutory changes, like things that may have changed July 1st of 2023. In some cases, there were things that just changed in December of 2023. So the 3 policies that we're still looking at this evening are those kinds of updates. So there were recommendations from Shipman and Goodwin because of updates that they made to these policies based on statutory changes. And so I brought what the blurb is that I can read to you as to what the statutory change is, so that you understand what it is that we're looking at for the change, and we can kind of explain it.
Which policy are you
So
looking
the
at?
first one is the one about the administration of meds, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I just, one second, can I ask you, when it comes to the Shipman policies, not in particular for this one, I didn't see anything that might be different, but I think we still have a little time to go through them, and because there is something with the purchasing one about consultation with municipalities regarding contracts. Is that statutory, things like that? That shouldn't be, we shouldn't have to do that, but if it's statutorily, obviously we have to. That paragraph kind of concerned me, but that's for next time.
Right, we're not gonna do that tonight.
Right.
So I think when the board has questions on those things, what we have typically done is, if you have a question about something that we don't want in the policy, if we're not sure about it, we would just wanna consult our attorney with the recommended changes.
Right, and we're gonna talk about that in just a minute,
Yeah.
actually, with respect to the student discipline
Yes,
one.
because we have something for that.
Because
yes.
there is a statement in the recommendation from the attorney that I would bet money that this board is not gonna want in our policy.
I think
So
I
we
already
can talk about that.
I think
Yeah.
I know which one you're talking about. But go ahead.
So-
Yeah. 'Cause
So for the administration of the student medications, it says in 2022, the General Assembly revised the state law regarding the administration of medications to allow specified school personnel to maintain and administer opioid antagonists to students in emergency circumstances, provided certain requirements are met. So we currently have a policy, a separate policy for naloxone, which is in our series 2000. But in reality, if you look at the Shipman and Goodwin model policy, along with our current policy for administration of medications, and in discussing this with Laura, we think that can all be, like the naloxone policy doesn't need to be a separate policy. It's, that language is all embedded in the administration of student medications within the Shipman model policy. So really, what we're looking for is just to adopt the Shipman model policy, which would then merge our policy with the naloxone policy.
Right, so it would become one. We would no
Right.
longer have the Narcan or the whatever.
However you say it.
Right.
Yes.
As a separate policy, if that makes sense. Because that's the lawyer's recommendation. I think the Narcan was so new when we first
Right.
adopted that policy.
Oh, that you needed a
It was a
separate-
standalone, yeah, and it no longer is considered that.
I remember an explanation about having it in the grammar schools for parents who might show up in need of, I remember someone saying.
Yep. Yeah.
Because it may have happened once, so there's a problem with that at one point, but.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think
and I think our nurses have done
our
training
nurses have
and I think.
trained. I think
we're-
somebody came out and actually spoke
Yeah.
to the board,
Yeah,
yes.
but it's not just the high school is the point.
Correct,
Right.
correct. It's everywhere, yes.
So the only piece that the board may want to look at that I had mentioned to Sue is on page, what is labeled as page 109 at the upper right corner, there's an optional board piece that says note to client if the board authorizes, these sections. And in speaking with Laura, we don't need those sections because we don't have that secured box the way that it is. That's not how they're secured. They're secured with the nurses, and so it's
So we don't
so
need-
those pieces are not necessary. So all the pieces that are related to that optional section are not needed.
8 and 9.
Yes. And if throughout this policy, there's little pieces that say, if you included E8 and 9, then you need to add it, like, there's little pieces along the way.
Gotcha.
But according to Laura, we do not need those two optional pieces.
But the other optional are needed?
That's the only optional section. It's just, they're all related to that optional section.
But starting on page 106, optional insert for boards of ed.
Where is that? Hold on.
It's highlighted. Right here. From page 106 through the top
Oh, well,
of
no, this is
112.
this is if we're getting, because we are doing the opioid policy, because we are a district that does that, because we have a naloxone policy, that is what we're putting in.
We're
Not
adding
every
all this.
district does the naloxone opioid piece of this policy. Some districts don't allow it.
So if we.
So the
so
whole
this the
thing is
actual-
optional, so, but we do it already because we have a naloxone policy. Does that make
But I
sense?
thought you said we're doing away with the naloxone policy to embed it
To
in
embed
this
all, because
policy.
everything that's
Which is
in this
this.
optional section is
Put
the
it right
naloxone policy.
All
Okay,
this
So
highlighted.
the highlighted on the bottom of page 106.
Yes.
Through the top of 112 would be embedded in the policy except for 8 and 9, correct?
Correct.
And that's our new Narcan policy.
And that
Correct.
replaces policy 2025.
2035.
2035.
Right, so, yes.
So this new policy with all of this language, except that E8 and 9 would embed that in it. So then I guess we would need the board to vote. I don't know if we need a separate vote to do that, or I don't know how that.
Yeah, they have to,
Yeah.
if this committee decides to move it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Any questions? No? We're okay with that, okay. Discipline.
So the student discipline one.
No.
So as Sue said, there's 3 components to the legislative update for student discipline. And what I've done is, I can give you the Cliff Notes version of where it all is to make it easier for you, but I'm just gonna read you what the updates are so that you have an understanding.
What page,
So-
top of the page, Kim, sorry.
I'm reading you what the shipment
What the
update is.
changes?
Yeah,
Alright.
but then I'll give you the Cliff Notes version of where to find
128.
the stuff. So.
Thank you.
So they've revised the policy to add a definition of protected class harassment and clarify that protected class harassment is an offense that may lead to disciplinary action. And then this is the part that Sue mentioned there might be some discussion on. Pursuant to Connecticut law regarding the legalization of cannabis, they've clarified that the sale or distribution of less than 1 kilogram of cannabis is no longer subject to mandatory expulsion pursuant to Connecticut General Statute, Section 10-233D. So,
However, I did get clarification, if this board, just because it is no longer subject to mandatory expulsion in the law, that does not mean that this board cannot continue
Right.
to
I
have it.
thought I thought we weren't getting, small amounts of marijuana put forward for expulsion anyway from the high school and middle school, if that were the case. I thought it was, it's been,
I don't know if it's the amount, I think it's the number of times maybe.
I don't know. I know it
I was
changed
gonna
once
ask
it
that
was
question,
legalized.
Well, we don't have to, we don't expel in the first THC, they have the choice according to the policy. You read it.
Yeah, it's not mandatory expulsion,
I was gonna
our
ask.
current policy.
But I think, doesn't this say distribution too?
sale and distribution.
But
It's
that's
specific to
that's-
sale and
that's what-
distribution.
This is specific about sale and
That's mandatory.
distribution.
Okay,
That's
it's not mandatory
But
anymore.
it's, but according to the
It's
law,
not.
it's no longer
So
mandatory.
the
If it's-
question
if
is,
it's
do we
less
want
than
to
1
keep it?
kilogram.
Correct, less than a kilogram.
But
How much
my-
is a kilogram? Do we know?
I don't either, I don't
But
know.
does it matter?
Kilogram is 2.2 pounds, so you're not looking at a kilogram.
Oh.
Do you guys
right.
care?
That's
I
2
guess-
pounds?
2.2 pounds is a kilogram, yeah.
Holy cow.
That's a lot of power.
That's, it is. What was your
Which you
question?
can't find in Connecticut now anyway, unless it's illegal.
I guess my question would be, do you, is that important to this committee?
If
The-
we
the
have a
amount.
student-
If the student is distributing,
I don't think the amount matters. I
Doesn't
think it's
matter.
I don't think it
automatic
does
now.
either.
I
No.
would say it probably does.
Sale and distribution, I think across the board is,
So,
so we wouldn't need to
Frowned upon.
include this in your policy is the point.
Yes. That, we talked
this
to
is an
Michael and-
exception, you mean that, or we're,
What they're saying is that the law says it's no longer a mandatory
mhm,
subject for expulsion.
okay.
Doesn't mean this board can't
Make it.
still
All
make
right.
it part of our
What does
policy.
that do with our policy? Does it change? Do we have that built
We
in?
just don't add the language, the line in. I'll show you where the recommended
Okay.
line is, and we can just, you guys can say that we're not gonna add that line in.
Okay.
So, and then there's a third piece, which I think this board may actually like. We have revised the policy to prohibit unauthorized use of generative artificial intelligence, and address the consistent discipline practices and promote strategies to reinforce positive student behavior. But that's the other, not the piece. But the generative artificial intelligence is the piece that I thought you might appreciate, Gary. So there's sections in here that refer to that, related to the use of AI would be subject to discipline per our policy.
The use
So-
of unauthorized,
Yes.
the unauthorized use of
Okay.
AI.
Yes.
Okay.
chatbot and all those
Yeah.
things where they
So
cheat,
basically cheating.
Yeah.
Yes, cheating using your
Yes.
chat
Okay.
GP or whatever,
Whatever
all
it
those
is.
things that
Yeah.
we've been talking about. So,
Just they don't do it, but they get caught.
so if, I don't, do you want me to, would you like to know? If you go to the
Yeah.
shipment policy, maybe, that you can see what the changes are.
Yep.
Because our policy really does mirror a lot of the shipment policy. There were components of ours that I think we spent a lot of time on. So I don't propose that we adopt shipment as it is,
Okay.
but that we update the components to reflect these changes, which all of them seem to be exactly aligned with our language in these particular changes.
Okay.
So if you go to page 175, I and J is where they added the two definitions.
Oh,
And we have all these same definitions in our policy, so we would just insert these two definitions exactly in the same place.
So
Never even heard of this.
is the 50/30 on page 128 our existing policy?
Correct, yes. And so on page 129, in between H and I, is where we would add these two definitions. I've got Post-its on all of it.
Okay,
so-
got These two.
Yep,
Oh,
so after firearm and before, right after protected class harassment is in-school suspension. And so on our page 129, right in between firearm and in-school suspension, we would add those two definitions, and then we would renumber everything.
Right, so we'd add the AI and we'd add the protected class
Correct.
harassment.
Yep. Okay. And then, if you go under the section where it says, actions leading to discipline, so on page 178 of the Shipman Model Policy, section 3 there, where it says actions leading to disciplinary action, I can give you the numbers of the items that just need to be updated with the language reflecting those two definitions. So number 6
So where is that in the
in our
current
policy?
Yeah.
So it is on page, so 132 is where you would see it on our policy. Is where
Okay.
the number 6 starts. Our numbers actually exactly align, so it's very easy to follow.
Yay.
So yes, so it actually,
Good.
when I went through each
That's
of them,
helpful.
the numbers align exactly. So number 6 on ours is number 6 on Shipman's. And you can see ours says any act of harassment, and we just have to change it to any act of protected
Protected.
class harassment. So like the changes are very minor, but I would just propose that we adopt the Shipman number 6 to align with the new language. So then number 10, and it's still on the same page for our policy, but it's on 179 for Shipman's policy. Says blackmailing, threatening, intimidating school staff or students, or acting in a manner that can be construed to constitute blackmail, a threat, or intimidation, regardless of whether intended as a joke, then it adds in, including the use of AI to engage in such conduct.
So you're just gonna add that
Yep,
sentence?
so just gonna
The
update
AI
that, yep,
piece, yep.
okay. So the next one is on Shipman's page 181, which is on our 134. And it's number 26. And again, that's talking about the AI. So it just adds in a use of copying of academic work of another individual presenting it as the student's own work without proper attribution, the unauthorized use of AI for the completion of class assignments, or any other form of academic dishonesty, cheating, or plagiarism. So it's just adding that section about the AI. Good, moving on. Now, same page, 29. And then it moves to page 135 for our policy. So it's number 29, and again, it's just adding in a sentence about the AI. So unauthorized use of tampering or school computer system, computer software, internet connection, or similar school property or system, or the use of such property or system for inappropriate purposes, including using AI in a manner that disrupts or undermines the effective operation of the school district, or it's otherwise seriously disruptive to the educational process.
Nice.
One more, I think.
Yeah, right there on the back.
Yep, so number 37 is what it is. So using computer systems, including email, remote learning platforms, instant messaging, text messaging, blogging, or the use of social
183, page
networking.
183.
I'm sorry, 183 of
Sorry.
Shipman's, 136 of ours,
And she's on number 36.
37.
37, sorry.
It's just the part about the AI.
Just adding the AI again. AI or other forms of electronic communication to engage in any conduct prohibited by this policy. And I think that was the last one.
Yay.
So,
AI.
but I tried to go through it all to find it so that I could cliff notes it for you.
Perfect.
Do our policies on THC, which I'm not opposed to what they have here, mirror what Shipman has? Because I thought originally our
Is
THC
it-
policy was first-time expulsion, but I don't think it reads that way anymore, which I'm not,
Is it, I think it's included, just, I don't know that it specifically
for it,
says
but I can't find
THC, it's just drugs, I think, or drug paraphernalia.
THC.
It does in Shipman's?
I think they both did, but of course I can't find it now.
We're gonna have to look through it.
I did mark it on.
Yeah, we have to get that triangle.
For,
But you're talking about the tiers of
you're
discipline?
talking about
Yeah.
discipline.
Where's that?
I think he's
It's like
talking about something.
mandatory.
Yeah,
else.
he's talking
Oh,
about
it's not.
something else.
It
Okay.
qualified for expulsion. There was required expulsion and there was expulsion or,
Suspension.
Suspension. But of course, I did mark up my book, this friend of mine did, it's all the policies, and I left it at the office.
Is it in our discipline policy?
Yeah, it's annual expulsion, and when it gets to it, flip it over.
Has it under?
Cannabis as defined by,
Found it?
no, I'm just looking at the.
Marissa, can you start-
Discretionary and mandatory expulsions, is it under that, page
Seriously
183?
disruptive, active, okay, striking, the use of violation of smoking.
Number 15, yeah, on page
Possession
179.
of,
179.
here it is, possession, sale, distribution, use, or consumption of tobacco,
Page 133.
electronic cannabis delivery system.
You're in our policy.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
It just references expulsion or other disciplinary suspension.
Sale,
I don't know-
distribution, or
I don't know what we wanna do.
consumption.
Tobacco, no.
I'd like to get-
No,
I
but
don't think there's anything in our policy
hold on.
about first time.
I don't.
It's in the triangle. Who just said that?
Yeah, I don't
Ellen, was it you? Is it a triangle?
It's the levels, but it also says what's mandatory and what's not.
right, so on page 136, it talks about the discretionary and mandatory expulsion
Oh,
category.
here it is.
And on page 137, it says the principal must recommend expulsion proceedings in all cases, and it outlines what the mandatory expulsions are.
Yep,
Was in possession.
by law.
Right, because those are statutorily,
Mhm.
like, we don't have an option not to recommend in those
Correct.
mandatory expulsion things. We can recommend expulsion in other categories beyond that, if the board so chooses, based on our policies. But there are certain things that are mandatory expulsion based on statute.
Yeah,
Right, but
Can
here.
you send me that triangle, or can someone send me that?
we have,
Eleanor or somebody will know.
I'll try and find it too. It's on.
It's on our website.
Yeah, it is on the
Handbook.
website.
Yeah.
Huh?
It's in the
It's in the
student
student
handbook,
handbook.
right? So
Marissa knows
They are on.
Oh,
there.
Marissa has it.
Non-expulsion proceedings.
But again,
and
that's,
Sure.
that
Either that, or,
possession,
yeah, and if you could just shoot a copy to the board
It's in
when
the
you have a
student
chance.
handbook too.
Okay.
Yeah.
but that's still offering for sale or distribution. I don't think it references possession of. So I think that's the only question I had. Statute, I guess, requires just that.
Right, these
So
are the
that-
only
so
things that are
we have the option. I
statutory.
guess so that leaves us
Correct.
with, we have the option of
Correct,
expelling it.
Correct,
correct.
yes.
It's
Right.
discretionary.
The
Right,
recommendation must be made, and then you
Correct.
decide what you want to do.
Correct.
Yes.
Up into 2.2.
Yeah, that's insane. That's so
yes.
crazy.
So
big
just so
gap.
that you can see the language, it's on page 184. The last sentence in bullet 3 is the recommended language that Shipman added, but again,
They must
the
have made a
board
mistake.
can decide not to put that
Which one are you on?
Right here.
on page 184.
Yep.
Right here.
Oh, number three.
Number 3,
Oh,
the
right.
last sentence.
Sale or distribution of less than 1 kilo of cannabis is not subject to mandatory expulsion.
But we
That's
don't have to
wild.
include
Big
that.
mistake.
It has to be.
No, it's the legislature.
First 2 pounds.
My office is right next to drug
First 2
control.
pounds of thing.
That's how I know all this
Nuts.
stuff.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
we're
the
right, because I work for
So what's that,
consumer
like a
protection.
handle?
And I work for standards, drug
Supposed to
control is
be
like right
okay,
there.
right in there?
Yeah,
That's
that's
so
so
crazy.
yeah, there's like a
Crazy.
wall separating us.
Maybe 2 6-packs are okay.
What would be the value of that? Of the,
It's.
No clue.
the astronomical?
I don't think legally you can even have that.
I don't think you can have, that's not one of the legal limits that,
I think it's above the legal limit.
2 pounds, that's a lot. Isn't it? Or maybe it's not.
No,
I don't-
think about it, think about like a pound of butter.
Or a pound of flour, or, yeah,
But
right?
It's lighter than butter, so
Yeah,
it's gonna be
true.
like
More.
a
It's a
lot,
backpack.
right?
Oh, you're right,
a
it's gonna be
backpack.
huge.
Yeah. That's a lot, I don't even know.
So I.
So the question is, do you want to have it in the policy or not?
I don't think we do. Does anybody else? Does anybody
No, I don't think we want to give the green light to bring in
No, I don't think so.
2.1
Take it out.
pounds of marijuana.
It's just gonna open
Take
up
it
a
out.
whole.
Oh,
Keep
mess.
as
All
it
right,
is.
so we will not add that other language,
No.
but
For number 3, keep as is.
yes. But the board is okay with all the other changes that
I
I
am.
mentioned regarding the 2 new definitions and then updating those items. Yes,
Yes.
I have a question. Okay, so on 184, number 3, and 139, number 3, the statute is cited in 184? Should that be, well, the first one should be cited, the second one maybe not. Should they be cited in number 3? Should we cite the statutes
In our policy.
in our existing policy? Yes.
I
so
don't think we should.
say again what page you're on?
184, number 3.
It's the sale or
And
distribution.
then where are you in our policy? That's
And
what I
our
can't find.
policy is 139,
What number?
number 3.
That's the same.
I don't, yeah, I have 139 or 138?
I don't think that's the same policy or same paragraph.
Oh geez, it's not, sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. But I know what you're trying to say. You want to cite the
But I think in
statute.
138, number, yeah, where is it? I'm trying to see where we are.
Oh, it's on page 137, number 3.
Yes, it does.
Oh, and it
Yeah.
cites the statute.
Yeah, it does.
Okay,
Page
got it.
137. Oh,
So-
got it?
Yep, and it cites, okay,
Yeah.
sorry,
That's okay.
I was on the wrong
No,
page.
It's just the last sentence, okay.
Yeah. And we're just leaving our policy as is.
Mhm.
Right, okay.
For that
Yeah.
particular situation, yes.
Okay.
All right.
Right, and we're adding AI wherever.
Adding AI and protected class and all the applicable stuff. So.
No, we're not gonna start the meeting over again for you.
It's over.
Okay.
Physical activity, undirected learning.
Okay, the last one on the agenda. Our recommendation, because this was now written into legislation about purposeful play or play-based learning, I guess they're calling it.
Which we wanted an explanation.
Yes, and I have an explanation
Sue has
for
that
you.
for you,
That's right,
so
fine,
yep.
yes.
I have an explanation for you, and Sandy can jump in here at any time.
Yeah, you could probably answer these questions too,
Play-based
Sandy.
learning, Sandy, please come and help me.
Yes.
Play-based learning is not anything new. In fact, I would bet every penny I have that every single person sitting at this table, when in school yourselves, engaged in play-based learning. Because in recent years, we have become so consumed with test taking, play-based learning has kind of been extinguished in public school settings. And research shows that it is needed, that children need to learn through playful activities, that it's the joy of learning that really motivates them, right? So it's really kind of, in my opinion, a sad statement of where we are as a society, that it's now had to be legislated, that we should be doing this. I think what you and I talked about earlier is, and our teachers, just to backpedal a minute, our teachers at the very lowest grade levels have received extensive training over the years in purposeful play, intentional play. And what do we mean by that? You know, setting up a center in your classroom that is like the post office, and the kids go in and they become the postmaster for the day, or a restaurant, and they take things that your kids did with you at home, right? And they take your orders and they write the menu. It's imaginative, it's pretend play, exactly. And that's how they learn. But now what's written into the legislation is that this extends through grade 5. If you think about it for a minute, right, I was at the high school today, and I was in a physics class and watching the students learn about the rules of physics through a playful experience. It's not, they might not have defined it as, they might not have said we're playing, but that's what they were doing. Healthy competition, you know, competitive interactive games, kids who are engaging in debates. That's play. It's a form of play. Simulation and role playing, problem solving, turning a vocabulary exercise or assessment into a bingo game. I mean, all the things that good teachers do on a regular basis is play-based learning. I wrote something up. You can all take one home and maybe read that, but I hope that provides some context. I think when Gary and I talked about it earlier, you know, the question was, well, are there parameters around this to prevent, you know, a teacher from saying, sure, you can just play all day? Yes, because it has to be directly tied to standards. We have standardized assessments that people are held to, you know, accountability measures to make sure that children are in fact learning. So that we don't worry about.
It's not free play.
Correct.
It's not just random go.
Yeah,
play.
it's not go play
So it's
checkers.
stuff that we do anyway.
Right.
It's now just built, it's just in a
Right.
policy.
Yeah, they
And
had
it-
free play mentioned, I just didn't know what it was.
Right.
They didn't
Right.
explain it well enough.
Yeah.
Can I
Right,
ask a
there's
question?
a big difference between free play and play-based learning, and it really, the benefits of play-based learning are just tremendous. I mean, I can't speak enough about the benefits of play-based learning and the integration of learning into play. And I think that, you know, we have had training on that. And it's really important just for kids because they become creative and imagination. And I mean, in my classroom, some of the things that happen during that integrated playtime, it really is amazing to listen to kids and to hear them talk to each other. And it really does a lot for developing oral language. And, you know, the teacher's not off doing something else while the children are playing. The teacher is a very integral part of that play and having conversations, and it does help with the problem solving and helping children with social skills and learning how to get along and creativity and really just productive thinking, because they are much more creative than the rest of us. And I was shocked and amazed the other day, my children were playing with magnet tiles, and magnet tiles are very square and very, you know, they're very straight sides, and these two girls had put them together, then they had a rounded type of figure, and they were like, wow, look at this, and if you add this one in, and even just the whole problem solving, like, I want to make this, you want to make this, and having to collaborate and having to learn to get along. So the benefits of it are there, and we've been doing it. So
The whole class is involved.
The whole
Rather than
class is
free
involved.
play, they just go off and do what they.
Right.
Yeah, it's not recess.
No,
Right.
no, the whole class is involved, and when we had more time in our schedule for the integrated play, children would actually make play plans. So you have that conversation, and the kids start out with, what are we going to build today? What are we going to make today? What would you like to make? Well, I don't want to make that. Okay, but I want to make that. One of my little boys was insisting he was making a cube today in magnet tiles. I was like, but you need to figure out how that cube is going to be part of what you all agreed to make today. So that type of learning, it just, the benefits are tremendous. So it's just putting in place, and Sue's right. It's sad that it had to come to legislating play and that play-based learning, and that's the most appropriate way for our youngest learners to learn. And I think when it talks about grades 1 through 5, I was actually on a think tank for CEA for this legislation. And when it comes to grades 1 to 5, the importance of that is that those teachers be allowed to do that without having to worry about discipline or someone coming in,
stepping
and
outside the
saying,
curriculum or
you
something.
can't do
Correct.
that because
It doesn't
fifth
say
graders
must,
shouldn't be
it says
playing.
Right.
may,
Right,
yes.
may.
Doesn't matter.
Right.
Okay.
And that's why they put it in statute.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
Because teachers are getting in trouble for
Yes.
good teaching practices.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right,
that's
and in some
exactly right.
districts they were, some districts
Yeah.
that was happening, and so, and one of the individuals was, the focus was really on pre-K, K1, but there were teachers who were on this think tank, or like, I'm using this in my 4th, 5th grade classroom, we'd like to have some language around that, so that we can utilize it. And Sue's right, in high school you see it too, you just might not think of it as
A game,
play-based.
yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yes.
I was just gonna say, the definition on page 228 about play-based learning, I thought was helpful, because it says it means a pedagogical approach that emphasizes play and promoting learning, that includes developmentally appropriate strategies that can be integrated with existing learning standards. Play-based learning does not mean time spent in resources, part of a physical education course or instruction. So
Yeah.
I thought that kind of got to the point where it has to be, like Sue said, tied to standards, has to have pedagogy, like it can't just be go play and do whatever. There has to be an academic reason surrounding it. So I thought that was a good explanation.
I think that's really the only change. You know, we had the other already about, you know, you can't use recess as a punishment and that sort of thing. Kids need time to.
And this statutory change is actually effective July 1st, 2024. So if the policy says that. It
Yes,
talks about the
question?
fact that
Yeah.
So, in terms of bringing these types of supplies into the classroom, whether a teacher, you know, needs to bring games or a post office or a restaurant, who pays for those supplies?
Question. This Megan might know.
It doesn't
It's
really
really
cost
I'm guessing it's
anything. I
you?
mean, we're talking about,
The teacher,
There are,
unfortunately.
they make them honestly out of like refrigerator boxes.
right, I
and-
mean, a lot of things are made out of materials that you have, recycled materials, which actually is a really good thing. But we all have in our classroom blocks and things, and, you know, to make a post office, you don't need a physical structure. You know, kids will build a post office, or they'll, with blocks, or you could use cardboard. Last year at the district, provided some additional play-based materials for kindergarten classrooms. Some great materials, so they get added, and donors choose projects, and state just had $4 million, which in 4 days is now gone.
It's gone.
It's gone. February 5th, they ran out of, that funding was gone. But so donors choose, collaborating, and if I have a post office, because I've made a post office, I share that with my colleagues, so it's not like every classroom has to recreate that, but and I honestly, donations from parents like, oh, we no longer want all these things. Do you want these things? Sure, I want these things. So it's not, there are some obviously personal funds that have been used, but there are lots of things that are provided by the district.
But to Kristen's point, if it's mandated,
We need to find a way to offset the
then
fund.
should there be a
They
budget
can't,
line?
they can't
I
be
was gonna
putting
say,
their
should
own
there be a
money into
budget
their
line item of
classrooms.
some
It's not
sort?
right.
To accommodate, even if it's per class, $200, whatever the number is. I
Yeah,
don't,
we have line items in our budget for instructional supplies.
Actually,
It's-
what
there's
we're
not gonna be
adding
a-
money this year.
Right, it's not
Yeah.
gonna say for play,
No,
but,
Right.
right, yeah.
Instructional
allowance should be
supplies.
greater.
Yes.
Why don't we give our teachers a yearly stipend to use for their classrooms?
We
I
don't
mean,
have
this
the
is
money,
probably
Kristen.
not the form.
No, we don't
to
have the
add
money.
that.
yeah, that's budget.
We really don't have the money.
It was
Teachers
been my
get a
Seriously.
deduction on income tax on the
Yeah.
assumption that they spend a certain amount, which they do.
Right.
And
Oh, it
teachers
is a
never turn
deduction.
anything down either. If someone offers you something, you
You
take
take it.
Yeah, you take it.
Yeah.
Whether you need it or not.
Because you might need
Yeah.
it next year.
A stipend would have to be negotiated in the contract.
And I don't disagree that teachers.
They shouldn't have to, no, they should not.
But
But we
just-
can't
that's a big
afford to pay
issue.
some of our teachers, so how are we
I've
gonna
seen
give them
teachers in
money?
Walmart with carts
Oh, of
full of
course.
stuff, and they're doing it on their lunch break,
Right.
and it's,
I
I'm
know, it's
looking at it
upsetting.
going, that's like $300-400.
You look at the supplies.
And some of
dollar
them can,
amount.
they can bring the receipts in and get reimbursed too.
Yeah,
So
no,
if
you're
they,
right.
just
That's a
because they
good
have the
idea,
cart
but
doesn't
some of
mean
it's
they're
happening.
paying for it themselves. Hopefully, teachers will seek reimbursement if they need to. But it's frustrating and it's hard for us to manage.
I don't want you to walk away thinking that every teacher needs to have a little Tykes post office.
Oh, yeah,
or
no,
a
no, I
kitchen.
don't think
It's
that.
really like homegrown, and that's part of the beauty of it, because the kids get involved in making it and
Empty
they feel.
boxes, I guess. and-
Exactly.
Rearrange the
Construction
furniture,
paper.
Yeah.
make a sign.
Yeah, you put a sheet over the top, yeah.
But to your point, it is hard to
The
swallow that.
librarians barely got enough money to buy books.
I know.
We raised it, but it was peanuts 3 or 4 years ago.
Anyway.
But
And
anyway.
Torrington isn't alone in that either.
Right.
All right.
But are we,
Yeah, we agree.
so is that, so we'll
We're
bring
on board.
forward the shipment policy
Yep.
then,
I
okay.
have a quick question, Sue.
Yes, I'm sorry.
A lot of this stuff says K-5. With middle school gonna be K-6, should that be reflected somewhere so it's not? You know what I mean? Like, if the middle school is gonna turn into a 5 to
Right.
6
Yeah,
building.
to that point though, Mark, in the we probably need to look at any of our policies that say K-5 going forward when we do make the switch,
So,
because it would be K-6.
right, but just to your point, the legislation is through grade 5. It doesn't
Right.
preclude us from doing it
Right.
through grade 6,
So
right?
just
Yeah.
to note that.
Yeah, yes. Yeah,
But that raises a good point. So many things changing that
Yeah.
one move,
yeah.
2
All
moves.
right. Any other questions? Topics for future meetings?
The first two things that we didn't talk about this time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So bids and facilities.
Everybody should think, for the next meeting, now that we have a full committee, maybe somebody can think about other topics.
That's enough of an agenda right there, anyway. Those are
Yeah.
gonna be long.
You'll be driving a lot of it anyway, but
Bids and
you get
purchasing is
updated
gonna
on all
be,
these policy issues before we do. Unless we hear things. Definitely bring them up, but-
Oh, I see what you mean, yeah.
You kind of drive.
Yeah.
Yes, if something
Mhm. If
comes
we
up
get
between now
updates,
and then,
yeah.
you mean, yeah. Yes, but
Yeah.
I think I agree with John. I think this is gonna generate some conversation
Yeah.
just on those two.
And the only other thing on the horizon that I think I've mentioned to the board before is the non-discrimination policy that we are waiting for an approval on, we still haven't gotten. So when we get that, we will bring that forward.
The other policy that we have not brought forward is nepotism. There is a nepotism policy in the Shipman Index that we.
Is that new?
Nope,
No, it's in the shipment index.
we don't have one.
Can we see that? Can you, yeah, bring that to us?
So my brother can work it.
We'll all have to.
And then,
High school maybe.
Either that or say your brother can't work here.
Not yet.
Yeah.
I need to work with Joanne on that.
Depends on what it says.
All right,
all right,
comments for good of the order.
I'm good, thanks.
Tim?
thank you for indulging us this evening with our, 279 page packet.
Wild when we were opening that today.
Sue
Yeah.
F?
Oh, no, thank you.
Shouldn't have
Great
waited that
meeting,
long.
Gary.
Sue D?
No, good meeting,
Yep,
thank you.
for
Good, the
all your
last 20
comments.
pages were good.
Ms. Hannigan?
I'm very happy that you did not read every page in this packet.
I called ahead of time on that one.
Good meeting, thank you.
Ms. Regan?
How are we gonna streamline this?
Ellen?
Great meeting.
None, thank you.
John?
You do nice work.
Quick one.
That's what I meant.
Oh,
We
I
know
you
that's
did.
what you meant.
Mr. Knight?
Nothing.
I have a motion to
So moved.
dismiss.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.